you got to pick which route works best for you. Because just like anything else in life, knowing where you're going is actually a key piece. You already know your number. Now you got to focus on how do you want to deploy and best use your time going forward? Because that will determine exactly which one of those three options work best for you.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for listening to another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverback, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to continue on the series of 90 days to stop sitting on cash and start building real wealth. So on last episode, what I went through is I started talking about knowing your number. And the real reason why you're stuck is because you haven't made a choice. So get to know your number, understand where that's at. Now, for today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about choosing your own lane. You got to choose the lane that's going to work best for you, because what you realize is that there's so many different ways that you can go out and make money, but I've broken it down into three simple things. And so you can look at it as one of my favorite things to do is looking at it from an investor lens. An investor has the greatest amount of leverage, because what happens is, as an investor, you get to go ahead and look and say, I want to put X amount. I believe in these operators, and I really believe in what they're doing. And this is called a security, called either a fund or syndication. So these funds are managed by, you'll hear me use the term GP, or a general partnership team that has experience in particular assets. So there's tons of different types of funds out there. There's ones going from oil and gas. You can do small business. You can do real estate. You may have heard the term fund via an investment fund, or you may have heard it from venture capital fund. The precursor to the word fund determines exactly what type of assets they focus on. So for me, I like to look at things for, I just call it real estate centric. The one thing that happens is that I have a lot of earned income. And so because I've earned income, the thing that I'm looking to do with real estate is I consider as a wealth preservation tool, whereas a business is a wealth generation tool. And the difference is that, like, on a business, you can have unlimited amounts of leverage. You can go ahead, you can open up more locations, you can take on more clients, you can change the business, you can acquire a different business. There's so many things you can do with business, which means when I say the word leverage, I'm talking about how much it can scale as far as dollars and cents goes. With real estate, if I buy a single family house, unless there's some massive zoning change, I can't really go build a 60-story skyscraper unless they change the laws in zoning. So real estate, typically the asset you buy is the asset you buy. Like, you may can do some type of conversions. You're seeing it kind of in the commercial space where people are taking that, turning into residential. But for the most part, there's only so much return you can get from it. So when I look at different funds, I typically invest in things like real estate, oil and gas, because these are things that have lots of depreciation. So I can take, when I said wealth preservation, so I can take the depreciation and match it against my earned income so that I'm able to reduce my tax liability. This is why you'll see a lot of super wealthy people will go ahead and acquire particular assets based upon tax law. If you don't like the rules of the game, don't play the game. It just is what it is. So when I look at that, there's a reason why I like investment funds. The thing about investment funds is all ones have different terms. So the terms it may hold your money for 4 years. Kind of the average, especially when you get to larger funds that have been producing for a period of time, your money may have even held up for 7 years. Just depends on the term. Traditional real estate that's ground up construction, you're looking at 3 to 5 years before you start getting a return. The reason being is that not only do you have to buy the land, you have to go through the entire entitlement phase, which means like getting permits, getting things to a place where it's called shovel ready. And then you have to construct the building. So once you construct the building, then you start leasing the building. What ends up happening is that there's a long cycle of what the money's going to do. And then they wait until they get to refinance stage. Now, the beautiful thing about it is that you're buying, when you put money into that fund, you're getting the property at its lowest amount possible. Because once an asset like a building, or let's say an apartment building, is fully built and constructed, and it's at the occupancy rate, which is the amount of people gets there, normally it's about 80 a year, that's when it starts producing cash flow and it moves into the green. Well, anytime you buy an asset that's already stabilized, it's more expensive because it has more value. It's similar to if you've ever went out and bought a house. If you buy a house that's a fixer upper, it's going to be much less than if you buy a house that looks like it just rolled out of the map of Pinterest. That house is going to be way more expensive because it has everything done to it and it's already at a place where it's producing. If you look to go buy Airbnbs, same thing. Airbnbs that are already been running and already has 5-star reviews are going to cost you a hell of a lot more than if you just bought the property before it had any of that stuff. Just understand that part of the cycle. So money can be held for 3 to 5 years, but you can get returns about 15-20% year over year, depending on the asset that's there. Let's just use a number, 20% for simple math. So if I go ahead and I put in 100 grand, I know that over the course of maybe that 5-year period of time, if I'm getting a 20% return, I'm going to get 100% of my money back. So if I put in 100 grand, by the time year 5 rolls around, I should be cut a check for 200 grand. And every year along the way, I was able to go ahead and get depreciation to offset my current costs. That's one simple way for a fund. So if you look at it from there, like funds, there's multiple different types. I won't go into it. Maybe I will do some reviews. If you guys want me to, I'll review some different funds and just tell you the ins and outs and how to be able to read documents. If that's for you, let me know. All game on for you. So first level is an investor in a fund. You have the ultimate amount of leverage because you're going to get a return and you don't have to be involved in day-to-day operations. Second phase, looking at, is things like the acquirer. The acquirer's job is you're going to go ahead and you're going to buy a small business. We've heard about the great of the baby boomers getting older, going through. There's so many different types of companies that are out there that you're able to acquire. And so through that process, what you're looking at is you're going to look at kind of 3 years of returns of audited financials. I want to see what the numbers are, what the company is doing, and what the owner or operator paid themselves. It's a great opportunity because what happens is you can go buy something. Like if you're in the moment where you don't have the timeline of waiting 3 to 5 years and you're just ready to get out and go straight into the jungle, entrepreneurship through acquisition is one of the best way to do it. Because I will tell you from experience, building something from the ground up is much harder than building something that's already in motion. If you've worked inside of a corporate environment and you're not really at startups and you're not really doing involved in that process, something that's already in motion is way easier because you already have customers, you already have clientele, you may already have business credit, you may have buildings, if somebody went through that cycle. Remember I was telling you before, like with building and going ahead and building something from the ground up versus something that's already Pinterest ready that you need to do on a fixer-upper type of home. That's the same thing in business. It'll cost more, but mentally it's not as draining as it is starting something from scratch. So ETA is one way you can go through, acquire a business. Now with the different requirements that's happening with SBA loans, one of the things you can look at is making sure you can find capital partners who are willing to help you get started to go ahead and buy that type of business and go through. But I have a partner that I work with. That's all he does all day long. You'll love his episode. Jamil did a great job talking about it at Regalis Capital. Would love to introduce you if that works for you. But you got to find people that do that stuff because that is definitely a very unique process of what you need to do to get it all set up. But ETA is one way. That's route number 2. The third way is you can do a smaller scale item. So let's say you're the kind of person who likes to be a little bit more hands-on and you want to get your hands into stuff. I do this too. It's going ahead and you can get into real estate, whether it's owning a short-term rental, whether it's doing a fix and flip, whether it's a buy and hold. That's kind of the third way. I look at that more of like the builder, because if you're the type of person who likes hands-on type stuff, because as we started hands off, we go to the place where you're still going to be hands-on, but you're in an actual business, and this is hands-on for like in physical real estate. You can go through the fix and flip, because here's the reality. People, I've learned this time and time again, people don't like doing work. and they don't like buying fixer-uppers. They will do it if they absolutely have to, but you will see that a house will move faster on the market if it already looks like what it does in Pinterest pages. And what I've learned over time is that you're paid indirectly in your level of compensation is tied towards the level of the problem you solve. So if it comes to a house, if you look at the house and the house is dirty and junked and has all kinds of stuff, people didn't take care of it, you're solving a problem for somebody else. Somebody wants to have a house that is worthy for them to show their friends, to post pictures on the interwebs for, to bring their family over, to have Christmas dinners, Thanksgiving, etc., the holidays. They want those things. But the thing that they don't know how to do a lot of times is managing contractors, managing the process of what's required to get that place to look kind of how they want it to look like on the internet. So by solving that problem for them, you're able to buy an asset when it's distressed at the best level possible and get it to a place to where it's stabilized. Remember that conversation from the fund? Distressed, stabilized. And that gap between distressed and stabilized is where you're able to earn your income. That's what a fix and flip does. Because if you're going to fix and flip and rent it or whatever's going on, you're still buying it as distressed. And through that cycle of distressed, you have the opportunity to go out and get the greatest return possible. Because on the other side of great earning potential is this four-letter word called work. So you're going to manage the contractors. You're going to manage the people that are going along through that process. Or if you're getting started, partner somebody who actually does those things. Because one thing I've learned, for especially those that do lots of fix and flips, is that there's always lots of fix and flips. And with today's day and age, man, you don't even have to be in the area, y'all. I've done buildings I've never been to. I don't have to go. Great operator with great teams, great experience, and what they need more than anything else is capital. So I helped them with capital, and boom, you just get properties, doors going through, money is cycling, and before you know it, you have this engine kind of running. And the way I look at it is every time I know a larger commission check is coming in, I calculate what type of asset can I get out of that property there, and then it's rocking and rolling, baby. And that's kind of the fun thing that's available for you as you're going through these different steps. So as a recap, there's three things. You can invest in a fund. That's called an investor. You can be the acquirer, which is going ahead and buying a business that's already in motion, especially if you want to get out in the next 90 days. I'd say 90 to 180 days, definitely the route you want to go. If you're more like, I'd say this one's more like a 3 to 5 year plan. This plan is more like in the next 90 days. And this plan is more like the next 2 years. Because what it does is it gives you different time domains of how soon you can do something and how quickly you can start turning your cash flow into other cash producing assets. And that's really it for it, y'all. Is you got to pick on step 2, you got to pick which route works best for you. Because just like anything else in life, knowing where you're going is actually a key piece. You already know your number. Now you got to focus on how do you want to deploy and best use your time going forward? Because that will determine exactly which one of those 3 options work best for you. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to comment on any of these videos. Shoot me a DM. I'm here to respond to you. And as always, my friends, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful. Until the next episode, cheers.